makes you anxious? What makes you anxious? I made the mistake of asking my wife, Patty, what made her anxious. Apparently I do. But part of the issue causing her anxiousness is my lack of need to be at the airport for us to catch a flight. That makes her anxious. Now, in my defense, I believe in being at the airport in a reasonable fashion, at a reasonable time. I don't see the need to be there 3 or 4 hours early. Like if the plane is still on the ground in Toronto, I don't think we need to be at the airport because the plane's not there yet. The airport is, I liken it's a place where you pay $7 for bad coffee and $15 for a stale sandwich. That's bad, in my opinion. You want to know what makes me anxious? An anxious wife makes me anxious. As we just heard in our second reading from St. Paul, he reassures us that we shouldn't be anxious. He says, brothers and sisters, I want you to be free from anxieties. And in the reading, he goes on and actually makes a case for celibacy. Now, as a married man, that's a difficult topic for me, but St. Paul was a celibate, unmarried man. For those of us who are married, he's not wrong in saying that married people, men and women, are anxious because of some things why they're married. Like marriage sometimes makes people anxious. They have in-laws. That makes them anxious. It makes me anxious. And children. We have children. But for context, part of his rationale about marriage and unmarriage and concerns and affairs, whether of God or not of God, is that his thinking comes from the fact that at his time, they thought that Jesus was coming back imminently. Like they were basically waiting for Jesus' return. So to St. Paul's point, let's focus on God. Let's focus on God. And all other things, married or unmarried, let's concentrate on the affairs of the Lord because Jesus is coming back. And you want to make sure that everything in your lives is rightly ordered. That's his point. So St. Paul is just basically suggesting to keep it simple because Jesus is returning. Keep your focus and your eye on him, which is why he says that the unmarried man is anxious about the affairs of the Lord and the married man focused on the affairs of the world and how to please his wife. An unmarried woman or virgin is concerned about the affairs of their marriage and on the affairs of the world and how to please her husband. And that's not to say that St. Paul is not supportive of marriage. In his letter to the Corinthians, he makes it very clear that it's actually quite the opposite. He is very supportive of marriage. We just don't happen to hear it this morning in our readings. He understands the value and the bond and the sacrosanct of the bond between a husband and a wife. The greater point in the letter that he's trying to make is that whatever the gift of a marital status, we should glorify God and focus on God. St. Paul begins the chapter addressing anxieties, concerns, and he says, brothers and sisters, I want you to be free from anxieties. And let's be clear that there are some things that we need to worry about. Some things that need our attention in this world. Keeping our families safe and healthy. Financial stability. How we care in our community for the poor and the homeless, the hungry, the sick, and our relationship with Christ. These are things that we ought to be concerned about. But there are things in our lives that cause us unnecessary worry and unnecessary anxiousness. Those things that we can neither control nor change. And this is unhealthy anxiety. Or as St. Paul says, the affairs of the world. because unhealthy anxiety robs us of God's joy. It can involve circumstances or even people that we have no control over or influence over. And we can spend an awful lot of time and energy trying to change someone or something. St. Paul says that I tell you these things to promote good order. It's a reminder for us that when we have things rightly ordered in our lives, we are more joyful and more at peace because we set ourselves free from unhealthy or unnecessary burdens. God does not want us to worry about those things. And who does not want less worry in their own lives? So if you're carrying a burden that is unhealthy, consider letting it go. Here's an adaptation from a prayer from St. Francis. This is just the end of it, but it says that do not fear what may happen tomorrow, for he, God, will either shield you from the suffering or will give you the unfailing strength to bear it. Be at peace, put aside all anxious thoughts and imaginations. Let go of worries. And when you do that, it allows you to focus on the things that are more important. Be free from anxieties. And he says, and have unhindered devotion to the Lord. Here's the other point that I think Paul is making here about life's priorities and having rightly ordered. Comes to you in a question. I offer this. If someone were to ask you, are you a married person who is Christian? Are you a single person who is Christian? Are you a widowed person who is a Christian? What would your answer be? Would it be yes? Or, rightly ordered, are you a Christian who is single, who is married, who is fill in the blank, young, old? I think St. Paul is asking us to make a distinction here. And what is our priority? The fact that you are Christian first is most important. Everything else about you is secondary. In our gospel, Jesus heals a man with an unclean spirit. It says that Jesus has authority even over the demons, and they obeyed him. Our reading from Corinthians is about whether we are anxious or not of the affairs of the Lord or the affairs of the world. So when we examine our own situation, our own lives, does Jesus have authority over our lives? Is our priority on God or on the world? St. Paul says that it's one or the other. There can only be one authority in our lives. And Father James says that we preach to ourselves, and that's absolutely true. I need to, when I prepare for a homily, I need to make sure that I'm preaching to the choir. I need to have my own priorities rightly ordered. So as I prayed about Patty and cause for anxiety about how not leaving to the airport, early enough, I prayed over that. I prayed about that, and I'm still praying about that. So you could say that the solution to our problem is a little like an airplane. It's still up in the air. And speaking of things that are about to take off, in less than 2 weeks, we are starting our next Alpha. And if you want to learn more about faith, ask important life questions, meet other people, perhaps even hear about the authority of Jesus, we invite you to sign up for Alpha. There are more details to follow, but what I want to do now is just ask Shawn Quinn to come up, and he's going to talk to us about his own Alpha experience. Give him some encouragement.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Shawn.
Deacon David ended his homily asking, what makes you anxious? Well, this is it for me. But I'm embracing this as healthy anxiety, okay? This is healthy. Well, my name is Shawn, and I'm so pleased to have the chance to share my Alpha story with all of you here this morning. When I ask myself, like, where was I before Alpha, and where do I find Shawn now? I often look to actually what we all see right now on the screens, that large question mark. I myself, I attended my first Alpha in 2019, and full transparency, I wish I could say that I signed up on my own accord, but that would not be truthful, because I was strongly encouraged by my loving and amazing wife with me here today to actually sign up for Alpha. And, thanks to her loving encouragement, I did. However, once I actually signed up for Alpha, there was another challenge out in front of me, and that meant I had to show up. So again, I think you know where the encouragement is. She's right over there. Well, over the course of the 10 weeks that I attended my Alpha course, and of course, one amazing weekend away, as we call it, my life and my own Alpha journey really began to take me to new places. Truly, I share with you, I did not know existed. Each passing week, that wonderful and mysterious question mark really began to take on new shape and even new meaning to me. One of my favorite guilty pleasures in life is the love of a really good mystery movie. And I think one of my favorite movies of all time is actually The Usual Suspects. However, Alpha also allowed me to explore another great mystery, possibly the greatest mystery of all time, and that wonderful, absolute mysterious question mark began to take, again, new shape and new meaning. So each week during Alpha, we gather, we break bread, we watch a video, and after which we go into small groups and we discuss all the things that we saw and took away from these videos. Truly, I say the small group time during Alpha really is the best part. No doubt, it really is the best part. And during this time, fellowships are created, friendships and bonds are made, and some of these very people are actually here in the church with me this morning. I just look out and I see a few of you. So, and many of these bonds actually, as I mentioned, endure to this day. So, before Alpha, I really did not have what I consider to be a meaningful relationship with Jesus that I have today. Jesus always knew me, and every day, I believe I'm learning Him even more. So, the journey into this mystery of Christ was made possible, beginning with the Alpha course and the courage and the constant cajoling, loving cajoling from my wife, for me to sign up and show up, okay? That's the second most important part. And I am endlessly grateful that I did. And I encourage all of you today, to once again look at that question mark that is in the Alpha logo, and just ask yourself if behind that question mark there actually might be something waiting for you too. So I thank you for listening to my Alpha story this morning.